What's up, crew? This channel is all about helping you guys become stronger, faster, and injury-free runners. But sometimes the guy putting out the information gets injured. Well, today's video is all about teaching you guys what happened, how I got injured, and what new things I've learned about myself to help me stay more injury-free in the future. But first, let's get to that intro, and then we'll get into today's topic. Let's go. Alright guys, just like the title down below says, this video is about flat feet and orthotics. I do have flat feet, okay? If you have flat feet, maybe use stability control shoes, motion control shoes already. And if you're somebody who suffers from knee pains, ankle strains, maybe shin splints, IT band syndrome, this video might help you out. Now, the tips I'm going to give you and telling you about my journey won't 100% fix your problems, but hopefully after I tell you about my journey with my injury and how I'm going to go forward in the future, hopefully I'll help give you guys some good information about what your first step should be. Let's get into today's topic. I am going to sit down real fast. All right, now that I'm sitting down, let's really get into the weeds of this topic. So, as many of you know, like I said a while ago, I do have flat feet, and the injury, if you haven't been watching, injury is a tendonitis in here, and I think I got a little bit of a torn tendon too, because it's been swollen for a long time. It really flared up. But since I have flat feet, this tendon that connects to my arch, right, when you pronate in a little bit too much over time and really irritated over time, it gets overextended and then it starts tightening, and then that tightening over time, if you keep really wearing on it, it can cause tendonitis and even a torn tendon as well, right? And the same thing with your IT band syndrome. If you supinate too much, where the foot rolls out too much, and if it gets overextended too many times, it starts to coil up at the top of your butt, starts pulling on that knee, and then you feel, after a while, it feels like you have this sharp pain on the side of your knee. It feels like it's almost gonna pop, right? So if you roll in too much, good chance tendons around your ankle could get flared up. If you roll out too much, your IT band is definitely going to get flared up as well. So, anyways, I have flat feet. Let's go back into my shoe history real fast. Bear with me. I'm going to try to talk through this as quickly as I can so you can understand why I haven't been injured up to this point. But real fast, in 2005, I was a hill striker. I ran my first marathon in 2005. When I went to the local shoe store, they're like, yes, you have flat feet. You need motion control, stability control shoes. You need arch support. So I got a Nike shoe. I think it was this one here. But yeah, anyways, got that, ran my first marathon, but over the course of 3 years, I had shin splints, IT band syndrome like crazy, knee pains, back pains. It wasn't fun. I got tired of it. And then I read the Born to Run book, and like everybody else, I was sold. I became a trail runner. I bought the barefoot shoes, right? And then after that, as I started running more on trail, I bought the New Balance Minimus. And then after I started running on rocks more, I need more protection, so I started running the MT110s. And throughout this whole thing, it's about a 2-year process in this, trying to be a barefoot runner, but I was successful over those 2 years on transitioning my running form from a hill strike to more of a midfoot strike. As I started going more in the ultras, I needed more just overall cushion, more protection from the rot, so I did Saki Peregrines. After that, I moved into the Hoka Torrent. Right after the Hoka Torrent, I am now in the Speed Goats, and as you notice, these are all neutral shoes. They're not motion control arch support shoes. So why didn't I not get injured? Well, when you're landing on your heel, it's really easy for the foot to kind of roll in or roll out, and so there's just more chance of you really irritating the tendons that would get irritated with the pronation or the supination. But when you're more of a midfoot strike, there is less movement from side to side on the foot. And so I was finding through being a more midfoot strike, doing more minimal shoes, that I just wasn't having as much pronation, so I wasn't seeing the same injuries as I was before, and I was noticing I didn't need the arch support. And over time, I even kind of forgot that I even needed arch support or stability control. But when I ran my first 100-miler in 2015, I did notice that as I started getting up to around 50 to 60 miles per week, trying to get ready for that, I had to drop the speed workouts. That if I did high mileage and speed workouts together, I would start to get injured and riding around my calves and my ankles. But at that time, I forgot so much that about the stability control, my flat feet, that I didn't put the two together then. I just got rid of the speed workouts and just did low intensity running. But here in 2020, I committed to try to race the Bandera 100K about a month ago in January. I had to drop out because of this injury, but I committed to racing that. So over the end of 2020, I was doing high mileage and speed workouts, and boom, it flared up again really badly. I tried to push through it, which you shouldn't do, right? And I was like, I got mileage to run, I gotta get ready for this race. So I pushed through it, and then it turned into a full-blown injury, all right? So now I'm working with my chiropractors, and I am learning that maybe I will need a custom orthotic. But before we get any further, and before I start throwing advice at you, let's go to my sports therapist, chiropractor, Dr. Dave, and get some advice from him about when you should start getting orthotics as well. Let's go. All right, guys, so we're here with Dr. Dave once again. You might have seen him in some of my other videos, like the one of the 4 tips about how to bounce back from an injury very quickly. But now today we're talking about orthotics, and as you heard a while ago, I said let's go talk to my sports therapist real fast to figure out when would be a good idea to start thinking about orthotics.
Yeah, so with your specific case, like you never had a lower leg injury and you were putting in hundreds of miles every month, you know, like probably 60, 70 miles every week. And there was never an issue. It was when you started ramping up that we started seeing that there was a bit of tissue tearing, a bit of inflammation, a bit of injury. And so it made it clear that, okay, this is the time to start bolstering that area. Now, you always had flat feet, and I always knew that. And I never really brought it up because there was never an issue. It was like, if it's not broken, don't fix it.
Right.
And that's the big thing that I think a lot of people think about is when to actually use an orthotic. Most people, when I say most, I mean like 90% of the population has flat foot, or they have what's called supination in their arch, or pronation in their arch support, which means basically like if this is your arch, like it starts to kind of collapse down, and the little bone starts to collapse, and that then puts a lot of, you know, tug and tension on the muscles that come down and attach underneath your foot. All we're really looking for with orthotics is that we really want to just give the arch a little bit of support and allow for the movement and mobility of the tarsals and metatarsal, which is the fancy term for the bones in the foot. So if you have that, then you've achieved your goal, and now that tissue tearing, that inflammation will be reduced. That doesn't mean it will go away, but it will be supported. So the big thing that I want to make note of, if you're looking at getting orthotics, don't go to a hard sole orthotic, and for whatever reason, podiatrists will think that that's like, it's almost like casting that region. The foot is a very dynamic and pillowy area of our body. We have to be able to get that movement in our foot. If you cast it, you're not going to get that dynamic, and so that force that you otherwise need is going to have to go somewhere else. And so a hard orthotic is not indicated.
So soft is definitely a better way to go.
Yeah. So that's the other thing too. It's like, do you have to wear it all the time? Like, just depends on what you're doing and how active you are.
And that's one of the other questions like I worry about, because, you know, they always say if you support the arch will get weaker over time. So like my worry is that if I start wearing an orthotic all the time, that my foot would eventually get weaker. Right.
And that's where the individual or customization comes in, right? So for your case, I would recommend, you know, obviously wearing it when you're running, take pressure off that area so that the tissue can heal. If you start noticing that there's a discrepancy in your running ability, or your what they call your gait, you know, the mechanics of your run, then it's like, okay, well, we need to peel back. And now you kind of play the edge of like, how much do I train to get my foot and my leg stable, supported, so that it will do the work naturally. There's, you know, I'm a big fan of barefoot running on grass or sand. So you're really just trying to play the game of adaptation. You know, how much should you push? How little should you push? Because if you're not pushing enough, then you're not gonna be ready for a race, and you're not gonna, you know, achieve the goals you want to achieve.
You know, I started really upping my mileage where I got up to 70 miles a week. And I was also pushing the pace really hard as well in my running workouts. And then the injury started to flare up. And so like, it's important probably as I increase mileage even more in intensity that I probably do support that arch because I had the issue.
Yeah, and absolutely, 100%. And then as you do that, just like cross training is positive, cross training in this case would be taking the arch or the arch support off, getting on bare foot, doing work on a Bosu ball, doing work on the grass, doing work on even the track without that, just to again maintain that. So that's a cross train. So the interesting thing with any training is you always want to keep your body just a little bit out of balance. Like it's like a routine, but the inconsistency, you just kind of put those inconsistencies in every once in a while, just to kind of keep your body guessing, and then your body will adapt.
So like wearing the orthotic when you're doing the activity that causes lots of repetition over time would probably be a great idea to wear that. But then in times of cross training, where you're doing strength training with weights and mobility type things, yoga, that would be the time to not wear those things.
Correct.
Right, so the foot can get the strength that it needs in the stretch.
Absolutely.
Okay. That helps out a lot.
Cool. Awesome.
Guys, I'll see you in a minute. All right, guys, so we are back from Dr. Dave's office, and you heard about my running background, about why I haven't been injured up to this point. You know about my injury now, and then we heard some tips from Dr. Dave about when to actually get an orthotic. But what am I going to do going forward, right, for my future career in running with the orthotic? Now, right now, in the first 3 weeks of my injury, I was not using an orthotic. I was just trying to take time off and let it heal, and I was seeing lots of ups and downs where I would take a couple of days off, I would see improvements, and I'll go coach my classes at Generator. The injury would flare back up again, and it just wasn't getting better over those 3 weeks. It was just lots of ups and downs, get better, get worse, get better, get worse. So when the doctor recommended the orthotic, I do not have enough money for the custom orthotic, so I went to Walmart, stood on the Dr. Scholl's machine, and I got a Dr. Scholl. And for the past 3 weeks, I have been seeing a gradual improvement over time, and I haven't had the decline in my improvements. It's just been making a gradual improvement. And last weekend, I was able to do my first walk jog without the flare up of the swelling again, which is awesome. So the Dr. Scholl's has definitely been working. So what am I going to do now? So in my workouts, in my strength workouts, I like to still go minimal on my shoes. Right now I'm wearing the La Sportiva Helios. It's a pretty minimal shoe. It has a little bit of cushion. Right now I will be wearing the orthotics. Once my injury heals up 100%, then I will take the orthotic out, and I will be doing my strength training workouts without the orthotic to help strengthen my foot, like we heard from Dr. Dave. In my running, I will continue wearing the orthotic until my injury improves. Once it improves, I might not wear the orthotic on my easy runs, and I might just save it for my running workouts, but I will see how everything feels in the moment. Then also moving into when I get really serious into my running program, where I start hitting 60, 70, 80 miles per week, I will evaluate and to see how my injury has been feeling, and if it starts flaring up again with the Dr. Scholl's, then I will definitely go down the route of thinking about a custom orthotic. But right now, the Dr. Scholl's has been working, and I'm going to keep it there because this is by far definitely a lot cheaper of a choice. Anyways, guys, that's what I'm going to do in the future. I will keep you guys posted once I start my next training cycle, which I will announce in the next video, because I'll be telling you guys about what races I plan to do for 2021. So be looking for that video at the end of this week, and it should be great. Anyways, if you have any questions about my training, about me with orthotics, and how to help strengthen your foot so you won't need to use this as often as you have to, okay, post down in the show notes down below, and I will help you out as much as I can. Guys, thank you so much for being here. If you made it to the end of the video, thank you for being here. Make sure you subscribe so you see all the upcoming videos. Now get out there and work out, start running, stay epic, and don't forget to be awesome. See you back in next time.